Got an email saying your rating went up 9 points from a recent tournament. And then later it didn't, like your, which rating? Like your USCF rating or chess.com rating or what? Because that does sound weird. I've never really had that happen. Weird. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that would happen. I don't even get emails when my tournaments get rated. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, seems like there was something wrong with email because, whatever the tournament gets rated as, that's probably correct. Uh, so it is probably just a faulty email, would be my guess. You could always check like your performance with like a rating calculator or rating estimator, and then that should give you an idea of whether you were supposed to gain some points or if gaining 0 is accurate. Um, so yeah, if you want to be safe, I guess you could double check, on the on like the tournament ratings. I don't know exactly how USCF works. I think you get rated against the player's rating going in. Yeah, I mean the rating only officially updates once per month, but the tournaments do get posted, so you can see how many points like you're gaining from each tournament. I assume that's what Chess Lover was talking about because once a tournament gets rated, even if it's not the end of the month yet, you can still see how many points your rating is supposed to go up. And then at the end of the month, then all the tournaments they get tallied and stuff. Yeah, to get a Fide rating, you basically have to play 3 Fide rated players in a tournament 3 times. So every time you play 3 Fide rated games, that counts as like your first like Fide norm, just like your first like provisional performance. I'm not sure what happens if you only play 1 or 2 games. I think maybe it just doesn't count. I think you have to play minimum 3 games. And then once you have 3 performances, then you start to get more of a like established Fide rating. Yeah, Fat Barbie, you might totally be right. I'm really not up to date on all the like requirements. And it's been a long time since I was first trying to get like a Fide rating. So that's just what I remember from when I was doing it. But they might have changed it or it might even work differently. So this 5 games total in at least 2 tournaments, that sounds very plausible. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. So basically, just the way I think most people get it is like they play, especially in the U.S., like they just play some open tournaments, like National Open or something, and the open section is Fide rated, and then you get like 6 games there. And then you play like 1 or 2 more events, and then you're basically done. Yeah, no worries, no worries. It's I'm always happy to answer questions like in between like showing games and stuff. So it's all good. And I think this stuff, I mean, people are often confused by it, and the systems are usually, I mean, I think even like most title players are confused like about how ratings work, like all this stuff. So you have to play 5 games against people who are already rated, score at least half a point in those games. Yeah, makes sense. Right? If you just get 0 out of 5, they'll be like, look, we don't know where you're at. We can't rate you. Yeah, I guess if you just play like 2 games at some point, then right, it might not count. But um, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much. How did the first person get rated? Yeah, well, I mean, when Fide first started, they even awarded a bunch of people like the GM title. They're like, all right, you like 20 people are so good, like you just get the GM title. You're fine, like you're in. And then everyone else had to like get norms and stuff. I forget exactly when Fide was first instituted, but I feel like they gave like Botvinnik like a GM title right away, like Alekine, Oive. They're like, all right, yeah, you guys are good. So 1950 was when they first. So 1924, Fide's founded. 1950 is when they first started giving out Grandmaster titles, and they just gave one automatically to 27 players. See, I was close. I was like, they gave it to like 15, 20 guys. Yeah, they gave it to 27 players. This is like an honorary GM title, so they didn't have to fight for it. So these players were the top players of the day, including world champion Botvinnik, and then all the top guys then. Boleslavsky, Bondarevsky, Bronstein, Oive, Fine, Floor, Karas, Kotov, Lilienthal, Najdorf, Reshevsky, Smyslov, Stahlberg, and Laszlo Sabo. And players still living who, though past their best, basically past their prime in 1950, also recognized as having been world class. So it's like, all right, you guys were so good, you also get the GM title. So those those guys were Bernstein, Duras, Grunfeld, Kostic, Levenfish, Marazzi, Mises, Rogozin, Rubinstein, Samish, Tartikauer, and Vidmar. So a lot of familiar names. A lot of names, honestly, you only see them on the losing side against guys like Botvinnik and Alekhine, but still very, very good players. And apparently, since Fide did not award the Grandmaster title posthumously, then if you are like very good, but you'd already passed away by 1950, then you didn't get the title. So that includes Steinitz, Lasker, Capablanca, and Alekhine. Never got the title, even though I would say that they were certainly deserving if they were around. So there you have it. Yeah, did they have to pay for it? That's what I want to know. Was how early did Fide force players to pay for their title? Okay, and then starting in like 1953, they started having like regulations and stuff and designing rules as to how to get the GM title. But what were the first ratings? So the first list introduced in 1970, as far as I understand, had Fischer, number 1, 2720, Korchnoi, number 2, 2670, Spassky tied for number 2, 2670, Geller, number 4, 2660, Geller, very strong player, very instructive games, Larson, number 5, 2650, tied with Larson, Petrosian, 2650, Botvinnik, 2640, tied with him, Polagaevsky, 2640, then Portish at 2630. So they just kind of gave everyone like 10-point differential. You got Smyslov, 2620, Stein, 2620, Karas, 2600, number 13, tied with Taimanov, 13th spot. And then all the way going down to like 2550 basically. So this was the first list. Okay, great. Very interesting. So I guess we all learned something today. What was the criteria before titles before 1970? They just knew. They just asked around. They're like, all right, who's a GM, right? Botvinnik, he's world champion. Let's see, Boleslavsky, Bronstein, they're good. Smyslov, they knew. They knew. They knew. Daily dose of chess culture. Yeah, I would love to share more culture with you guys, because that was actually one of the things that got me into chess. I was just kind of reading about all these players and like their stories and how they became world champion and candidates tournament and all the chess drama has actually been around for a very long time. There's always been heavy drama in the chess world. Can you imagine? Magnus, he forfeited a game in the Sinkfield Cup, but Fischer forfeited game 2 of a world championship match after losing game 1. Can you imagine forfeiting a world championship game? And then he comes back game 3, wins with black. I think. And then he just starts winning. Then game 6, he wins a beautiful game. Just absolute like classic. Then takes over the match. Just total drama. Yeah, when it started, right, you had to be like 2000, 2200s just to get a Fide rating. Right.